Dan Levine. I've seen Arrival twice now, and I plan on watching it many, many more times. It's actually my favorite movie of 2016. And going through your career, say that again.
I'm going to quote you on that.
Going through your career, how does Arrival stack up to other projects you've worked on as a producer?
I mean, pretty high. I have to say, I don't know that I've been ever so prouder of a film than this film. I've worked on a couple of things I think are pretty great and I'm super proud of, but this would be top of the list for me.
And this one's also getting a ton of awards buzz. I met you at the Golden Globes on Sunday.
Yes.
And what was that experience like?
It's amazing. It's just such an honor to be at these events, to be nominated for awards, to just see and bump into all the other great filmmakers whose films you love that year. So it's been a whirlwind, and I love every second of it.
Mm-hmm. I hope it keeps going on till the Oscars.
Me too. We're almost there.
The good news is you guys got in. This week was really good for Arrival. You got in at the BAFTAs, and then you got in at the PGA Awards.
Correct. Yeah,
what was that like when you heard the news?
I was so thrilled. I knew it was happening late the day before, but I just couldn't wait up for it. So I went to bed, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's posted. So it was a thrill to see that headline.
Mm-hmm. It was one of the most nominated films at BAFTA too.
Yeah, it was great. We had gotten great reviews over there. I was hopeful. You never know, but I had a good feeling about that. And we're in great company, a bunch of other great films picked. But I was so thrilled that a lot of people from the film got recognized. That we wouldn't have been able to make this movie without our DP, our editor, obviously Denis and Amy. But there were a lot of the technical categories got nominated, and that made us so happy.
Will you be going to those ceremonies as well as a nominee now?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a dream to be able to go to these events. I absolutely look forward to going to London. The PGA nomination was huge too. That's, you're picked by your peers, which means a lot.
Right. And the PGA has a really good track record, I guess you call it, of the things they nominate usually go on to get a Best Picture nomination at the Oscar. There is the whole sci-fi element of Arrival is really interesting to me, because usually sci-fi films don't get nominated at all these awards, but you guys are. So what do you think makes Arrival different than other sci-fi films we've seen?
I think it goes back to the original story that, our incredible writer, Eric Heiser, adapted from Ted Chiang's story. It had a real emotional heartbeat to it. It was sci-fi, but what really floored you in the story, much like the film, is that you think you're watching an alien invasion movie when in fact you're actually watching this incredibly moving story about a mother and her daughter. And that's what I think, that's what got us Denis attached to it. That's what got us Amy after reading 10 pages. I mean, that's what the difference is, because I can't tell you how many times at the festivals or at screenings that people came up to me and said, you know what, I typically don't like sci-fi, but I love this. So on the surface, it's a sci-fi movie. It has all the trappings, but it really is that emotional center. And I would add one other thing. I think our movie deals with that part of the movie, part of the story about an alien invasion that every movie cuts out. That usually they land and then there's war. This one actually deals with, and Denis always wanted this to have a documentary feel of what would happen if they land. How would we communicate with them? What if we didn't speak the same language? How would we find out why they're here and what they want? And I think that's also, we slowed down that period in a story that all movies skip over to get to the big stuff.
I was watching the show Star Talk the other day with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's like, we can't even communicate with animals on our own planet. So how are we expected to communicate with aliens if that were to happen? So I'm glad this movie, it's really the first time I've ever seen a movie that kind of dealt with that issue.
Yeah, it was, again, going back to the brilliance of Ted Chiang's short story, which Eric kept, all the great parts and then expanded on some of the others. But really, it goes back to that. It was an incredibly compelling story. And we were able to do it justice with this movie, I feel.
So you said Amy Adams was on board after 10 pages?
Well, I'll say this. Let me phrase it better. We actually went to her in a time when we had heard she was going to take time off, that she had done back-to-back films and was exhausted. But she was our number one choice. We had a list. I remember when we flew up, the producers, we flew up to Montreal to see Denis, and we had this list, and he had his list. And on both of ours, number one was Amy Adams, but we went to her knowing that she was going to take time off, and we heard within, and this never happens, we heard within 2 weeks that we got a yes from her. It may have been even less, and that never happens. It's usually months of, bugging the agent, have they read yet? And we got a quick answer, and talking to her right after, it was that scene, though, that montage where you see her daughter from beginning to end, that hooked her. So she obviously read the full script, but it was really, she said she was exhausted on reading scripts, want to take up time up, but when she got to that scene, that's when she said, this is something special. I've got to finish this.
She's so good in the film, and Gold Derby is predicting that she will get a Best Actress nomination. So I'm very excited to see that.
So happy. She deserves it. She's amazing. She works so hard in the film, and nothing would make us happier.
And as a producer, could you maybe detail, what were your day-to-day duties? Some producers do one thing, some do another. So what was like your specific job on the film?
This is one of the ones where I had some incredible fellow producers, Sean Levy, Aaron Ryder, David Lindy, but this was something I was involved in from short story to now. I was there every day, and I worked with Eric Heiser very closely with a colleague, Dan Cohen, on the script. We had actually found the short story right with Eric right before we just happened to have a general, my colleague and I, with Denis, and we asked him, what are you looking to do? And he said, I've been dreaming of doing sci-fi. And we said, well, we have the short story you might want to look at. And we hadn't had the rights yet. So Denis was about to go off and do Prisoners, and he didn't have the time to kind of crack it with us. And we said, don't worry, we'll work on a script, and when you're done wrapping that film, we'll have something for you. So we spent a good close to a year getting that script right before we showed it to him. But every step of the way, from finding it to developing it to casting it to crewing it up to pre-production to every day on set, through every day, in post. They were actually up in Montreal, so to be fair, I would go up and visit up there, and they would come down here. But yes, it's something I was very proud to be involved with from start to finish.
And Denis, what do you think he brought to the film as the director that maybe other directors wouldn't have brought?
I think he brought a real humanity to it, but he also brought many things actually, a documentary style feel to it. He wanted it to feel real. Well, we showed him a script, and I think we had a very good script, good enough to get him to attach, but we had some sci-fi elements that were a bit bigger. And he sort of tampered down because he wanted to keep it more grounded and real and never go into the fantastic. And I think he brought great vision and visual beauty to it. He brought soul to it. And I think that, as all his films, it had a real kind of edge of your seat moment. I always like to say about Denis that he's the only director that can put you on the edge of your seat with tears coming down your face. So he has that ability to do tension like no one else, but also with a real core of humanity to it.
I love that you say the word grounded, because that's I mean, literally and figuratively what this film is. It's a sci-fi film, but it's not spaceships battling in space. It's a very grounded film, and that's, I think, what makes it so accessible. I guess that.
Yes, I agree 100%, and that was from day one. That's what his real guiding principle was. How do we keep this feeling real? He wanted us in the point of view of Louise as she's experiencing it for the first time, so we're experiencing it for the first time.
And so Amy was on board. What about Jeremy Renner?
He was her idea. We actually had again, as a producer, you're just dealing with a lot of lists all the time, like lists of actors, DPs, all crew, and on that, we had that list, and he was on it, and she had such a great experience with him on American Hustle that she suggested him, and it was such a great suggestion beyond just that he's a phenomenal actor, but they had real chemistry, and they had chemistry from day one, and that's because they knew each other, they were friends, and they had worked together. So we really owe him to her.
And it's not every day you work with an Oscar winner like Forrest Whitaker. He's been in so many different things. And what was his reaction to getting the part? Because he kind of plays a villain, not your classic villain, but he's the antagonist to these characters.
Well, we always thought the Michael Stuhlbarg character was more the antagonist. To him, he was more like sort of the father figure to them. He had to keep an emotional distance because there were serious implications, but we were thrilled to get him. I mean, to have 3 Oscar-nominated actors and also he being a winner was phenomenal. And I know that the editor always said that, and Denis too, that it was so great having him in the movie because they could always cut back to him to ground any scene. He was always their go-to guy when they were trying to work around an edit of a scene because he just had such strength and dignity that he was just so additive whenever they had him on the screen.
You're right about Spielberg. He clearly was the villainous of the two,
Yeah.
antagonists of the two. I love the scene where Amy Adams is like, she's trying to explain something and he
Yes.
comes back with some stupid comment and she's like, why do I have to talk to him?
Yes, that became a big trailer moment, and it was a great beat. Love shooting that.
What's your favorite scene in the film? Is that a tough question? Is it like picking your favorite child?
It's a tough question just because there's several, but yes, I guess would be like picking a child. But I think that I love the scene at the beginning where you see her talking about her daughter who she had and lost. I love the first scene where they're arriving at the ship, and you're just seeing her taking it in the majesty of the ship and the clouds that are coming in. I really love that. I love her. There's so many. I'll bore everyone watching this if I list them all. I love her first entry into the ship. But honestly, when I watch, because I've seen the film 30-something, if not 40-something times, I also really get moved every time at the end, spoiler alert maybe, that when they hug at the end and we realize what's been going on and what their connection is. That gets me every time, because when you watch a film so many times, you sometimes start to get a little bit immune to certain emotions just because you've seen it a lot, but that never fails to like choke me up.
I love the scene where she's on the phone. Again, I don't want to spoil it. She's on the phone with the Chinese president. It was very
General Shang.
Like huge, eye-opening, revealing moment that I'm like, oh, now I totally get what's going on now.
Yeah, that was something that took a lot of work to edit that right. There were some great ideas that came in late in the idea of how to intercut that scene, and it's a real mind bender scene, but it's really powerful. I'm glad you like that scene. We worked hard to get that right.
I do work with someone I will not name who didn't quite understand it, but I think if you actually think about it and certainly watch it again. Anyone that's just seen Arrival once, you're missing a lot. You need to watch it twice, 3 times.
I'll tell you, I can't tell how many times. Not only have we seen people that have seen it twice as we've screened this film around town, we've seen people not only seen it 3 times, but we just went to a screening where someone had seen it 10 times.
Wow.
I will say, I will not recommend anyone. If you want to do that, please do. It makes it but people, it is, look, I think we all love seeing films that you can watch a second time. It's rare. And we really wanted to have a film that had shades of gray and not everything tied up in a nice, pretty bow at the end, because I feel that those are fine. There's plenty of movies I love that do that. In fact, many, but I think sometimes there's something great where you leave and you could talk about it with someone for an hour. When we screen the films, we find that people don't want to leave because they want to talk about it. And then they want to go back. And I think that's the reason why one of the things people really connected with about the movie is that it's about communication and it's about unity. And it's actually a movie you could talk about. And I think people really enjoy going back again to see it so they could talk about it some more. And I love some of the people have different interpretations of certain things, and who's to say who's right and wrong. But I just love that it's not just completely spelled out to everyone.
The first time I saw it, it was in a regular theater with regular people. So we're not talking press.
Right.
And after, as the credits were rolling and that beautiful music was playing,
right.
I could hear people going, oh, so this meant this. No, this meant this. It was creating a discussion that you don't see very often.
No, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people that have seen it with their, a date or their wife, husband, and they just say they went to dinner for 2 hours and just talked about it endlessly. Look, I love doing that with my wife and friends. I love when you can really, it's thought-provoking.
Mm-hmm. I know a big fan of the film was Damon Lindelof, who created Lost.
Oh, really? That's great.
There you go. Like one of the guys who created one of the most mind-bending shows on TV.
That's the ultimate compliment. That's great to hear.
Well, one other question before we go. You're in Atlanta now. Can you tell us why? Are you working on a new project? Is there anything we can look forward to?
There's a project called Darkest Mind. It's based on a best-selling book by Alexander Bracken, and we are in pre-production, and we'll start shooting in end of March, early April. And we're just getting up and running here. So 3rd time back in Atlanta. A lot of films get done here, as you know, and it's been an exciting year for me, for our company, 21 Laps, Sean Levy's company, and we also have Stranger Things, which is shooting here at the same time. So yeah, we've been just really thrilled and blessed with all the good things that have been going on.
Well, I would ask for a tease for season 2 of Stranger Things, but I have a feeling I know the answer.
There's already a thing embedded in my laptop. If I say a word, it'll just cut out. So that's
Well, it was great to talk to you. I'm very excited for the film. I hope it goes all the way at the Oscars. It deserves it.
well, I can't believe I can't tell you how much that means to me, and I love meeting people who love the film, and I appreciate you talking to me.
All right, have a good day, Dan.
All right, talk soon. Bye.